DIY is so 20th century. I think that the future is do it together. And it just kind of makes sense, especially with Julie's last talk. Ideas come from everywhere, and we need to really embrace that in order to change the world. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of give out benefits of doing it together. The most obvious one, share resources. The more people you have working on something, the more resources there are. Intelligence, experience, tools, computers, cameras, you name it, we can share it. And you save a lot of money that way too. Increased exposure, it's kind of like a ripple effect. What Julie was saying, the more people you have working on a project, the more people are going to talk about it. And their friends and family are going to talk about it. And possibly their friends and family are going to talk about it. And I think that it's really important to get more people involved so there's a really big sense of ownership and a chance for more people, ideas to be seen. Distributed responsibility. I can't do everything by myself. I don't want to DIY. I want to do it together. So I can share the responsibility with others so that other people can feel empowered and involved. And it also takes a lot of work off my back. I don't know how to code a website well, but when you give that power to someone else to do it, they feel empowered and they feel responsible, and you just have this greater sense of ownership. Also, great opportunities for feedback. I think feedback is really important for ideas. It's kind of like how ideas kind of come together and they kind of blend and they emerge from one person's idea into like this crazy built upon idea that just got bigger because of feedback. I think when you do it together, you kind of have the opportunity to make ideas as like successful as possible. Support. We all need it. And I think that like when you do it together, you have this awesome support system of people that you can kind of turn to and you can trust, and they can relate to you and they can relate to what you're working on. I think that it's also really great to have people who, feel like they're sort of like helping out, even if it's just giving advice. I think it's really important to kind of, when you're having a tough day, there's people you can turn to be like, oh man, this thing really failed today. And they could be like, well, there's always tomorrow. I think doing together saves time and energy. I think when you do it by yourself, you're methodically just doing every step. You're publishing, you're thinking of the idea, you're executing the idea. But when you do it together, you ultimately save time. And I think the biggest thing is that, how you've been touching on this, is a shared sense of accomplishment. The fact that, hey, we did this together. This is ours. When we actually send this out to the public, when you actually put this out there, if that sense of ownership where it's like, I was a part of this. I did this. And you can have that pride and that ownership. And I think that the event we're at today is a really great example of that. Dustin wouldn't have been able to do it by himself. There's no way one person can organize an event of this scale. And I just want to kind of take a pause real quick and give a round of applause to all the volunteers who kind of helped make this possible. And I ultimately believe that people want to work on projects that they're motivated and passionate about. I think that you can see from a lot of people in the room who are volunteering here, they're really passionate about innovation and ideas and sharing knowledge and what they learned. And I think that people are willing to kind of sacrifice time, energy, payment for this sense of, oh, wow, I got to work on this together with people. And I think it's really important to harness it. And I do it in a project called MPLS.TV. My job there is a collaboration director, which is basically bringing together people and ideas. I have a lot of meetings talking about, oh, how can we make this idea better? Who can we find to work with to make this even a greater scale of a thing? We've been around since 2009, and we're kind of founded on the ideology of this do-it-together-ism, if I can call it that, and bringing people together. And ever since we started in my backyard, it's been 5 people, and it's grown to 10, to 50, to 100. And I think over the past 3 years, 350 people have touched the project, which blows my mind. And I think that what we have at MPLS.TV is this like shared environment where ideas are open and people actually can see stuff get made and published. So I'm going to show you right now some of our work.
MPLS.TV is created with local support.
If you're watching MPLS.TV,
You've seen the future.
I don't know much, but I know I love MPLS.tv.
MPLS.tv stands for Minneapolis Television. It's for you, Minneapolis. Everything you just saw was done together. I cannot be more proud of that fact. Street Stories, this shoot right here had 16 people help out with, which just blows my mind, the fact of people coming together to make a product of greater than their own. And it's kind of like there's a camera there, and there's lights, and it's all kind of shared resources making something together. City of Music is another example. This one had 16 people on the crew, and even a pilot who flew over western Wisconsin to get these aerial shots from our videographers. It's all possible because it's powered by Do It Together. And this right here is a pizza made of pizza-flavored ingredients. It's crazy. It's our most popular piece of content ever. It went viral, ended up on BuzzFeed, Boing Boing, Laughing Squid. And I think it's kind of like MPLS.tv when it has like different pieces of pizza ingredients come together and make a whole pizza. I mentioned this earlier, and so did Julie Gilbert, but I really believe that ideas come from everywhere. And for a long time, we were kind of ideating ourselves for about a year and a half, keeping everything in the room, kind of basically. Where it was like a group of us, 7 of us, thinking of ideas and then finding people to help make them. And in October 2010, we put out a call to the public to say, hey, do you have ideas too? Do you want to make some stuff? And out of that came some really great products. Shake and Bake, a hip-hop cooking show. Doodle with Dylan, a visual art series. And my favorite, a street fashion show called What the Are You Wearing? It's a great show. It's all online, MPLS.tv. But I really think that a lot of the stuff that I've just kind of been showing you, these 3 things, real people talking about what they're actually doing themselves, is truly disruptive new media. This is the future of media. It's collaborative. It's participatory, it's engaging, it's done together. I think that this model is something that can be done not just in Minneapolis, but all over the world. Because now, over the past 10 years, there's been this really crazy creative revolution, and technology has just expanded when the fact that, when 10 years ago there's 2 megapixel cameras, now there's like 79 megapixel cameras. And we're finally catching up to like this brain power that we have and the technology able to use it. And I think that, 20, 30, 40 years ago, most people didn't create stuff. They watched movies, they went to concerts, they went to art shows, but now we are all creators. We have the tools to make this stuff possible. We own the means of production. I think if we harness that, and we harness the idea of doing it together, there's endless numbers of possibilities. We're living in a world of opportunity. And overall, we are all producers, and I think that if you want to make a music video, you can do that now. If you want to record an album in your room on GarageBand, like this little kid, you can do that now. So I'm going to leave you in closing with a few tips on being successful in the do-it-together economy. Obviously, the biggest one, collaborate. Look for people to share stuff with. Look for people to work with. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I need help on this. I think a lot of times people are kind of like, have this really crazy idea, and they just can't have the courage to say, hey, can you help me with this idea? Can you help me do this? Don't be afraid. Collaborate. Look for others to work with. Experiment. Try stuff out. I cannot stress that enough. You really have to take this world as a laboratory for you to try stuff on. It's really crazy because the internet moves so fast that we can put something out that is kind of so-so, and people will forget about it the next day. We've had tons of failures at MPLS.tv. And then the next tip is fail. Fail often, fail hard. Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to put stuff out there that's going to be like, well, at least you're doing it. At least you're putting it out there. I really think that people should explore the world that we live in. I think more now than ever, there's stuff like this talk right now and TED where you actually can learn from like these experts of these fields. I never knew about frogs and cocktail parties, but I do now, and it's fantastic. I mean, like, that it just makes sense, and there's so much resources out there. You really kind of take the internet and learn from it, explore it, try to find some stuff, digest more, explore more, and get out of your comfort zone. The last one is share. Give the people. Share your thoughts, insights, ideas. Give input. Speak up during meetings. Give entertainment. Give knowledge. Give something useful. Give yourself. No one asked me to be like, hey, go start a website where people can have their ideas made. I just did it. I think that there's a big thing of just doing it and getting your ideas out there and actually putting stuff out. I cannot stress that enough. Like, really take the opportunity to harness this technology, harness the power to do it together, and get stuff done. So in closing, I want to end this talk on a really big do it together. So on the count of 3, we're all going to shout, do it together. 1, 2, 3. Do it together! Thank you for your time.